I think one of the main things we're trying to teach Timothy team leaders that's different from Knee High is that we're wanting them to start leading Word, start leading their campers, start leading their table for two times. And so my job as a facilitator is interesting because I get to step back almost and kind of just watch them grow. And so my goal is to see them lead.
Over the last 3 weeks of Tim Team, I've learned that great leaders don't always lead from the front. They sometimes can sit back and wait, and then when they're needed, they step up in that time.
Reading through Timothy and hearing all the stuff that like God has said about being a spiritual leader and all the things that is said throughout that entire book has just helped, because it's been it pretty much walks you step through step about how to be a spiritual leader and what that takes, and how to have courage and talk about your faith, and also how to have patience and be a peacemaker and all those things. So that's definitely been something I can apply with these little kids, just trying to help them in their faith just as much as we can.
When I went to Knee High, one of the things I experienced here with Tim Team also was how much they focus on you growing close with your team. And because of that, you're able to open up very much with everyone. And we've had lots of very personal talks, and it's been a very great experience. And then once we translated what we taught each other into teaching these kids, it was a very powerful experience to see us learn and then us teaching what we've learned.
Tim Team also is about building really deep relationships with other believers in Christ, because I know for me definitely over this last week leading day campers, I have gotten to know my co's really well, because we've had to handle some difficult situations but some awesome situations. I think something I had to get over was not wanting to handle everything on my own and having to lean on other people whenever I had to realize oh, this situation isn't something that I can just do by myself. I need other people for this. Legitimately, I can't just be oh, I can do this. I actually need people.
And one big thing I learned since I've been in Tim Team was the idea of patience, and you don't always get to do everything the way you want to do it.
Hey, watch out.
Hi. Especially towards the end of this week, they're really starting to get tired. And it's just it's simple. They're tired, and they've gone through a backpacking trip, they've gone through a week of training, team building type stuff, and they're just tired. But seeing them continue to push and encourage each other, that makes me super happy to see that.
A lot of times I see my problems, but through this, I've heard some of the kids' problems, I've heard my team's problems. It made me care a lot more about everyone else's problems, and it made me listen, and I've had talks with them, and I think that's something I can take home with me.
This is the way a real man gets a backpack on. Ready?
Because it talks about in Timothy being a courageous leader, and being a courageous leader is putting yourself out there and talking to other people about your faith. So I think that definitely back home with school and friends and people who don't really have that strong relationship with God, I definitely think I can be a leader for them too. Just with everything that I've been learning through the hike and the day campers and all through the book of Timothy, I definitely think I can apply that with just those people at home and just being an example and a light for Christ every single day.
Hydrate or dehydrate, hydrate or dehydrate, hydrate. Okay, too hype. I'm definitely wanting to become more of a leader when I get back. But one thing that I've realized while I'm here is before I do that, I need to get my faith back in a stable place before I can lead other people.
I think the majority of what we're trying to teach them is how are you going to be an influencer on the people around you at home? And so how are you leading the community you're in instead of just being influenced and going with the flow? And so I think they're going to go home with a better sense of community and a bigger goal in mind in impacting the people around them. Instead of just kind of trying to make friends, they're trying to impact their friends for Christ.
number 1, look good. Rule number 2, don't die. Rule number 3, if you have to die, look good.